Welcome to the studios of River City's Community Access Media. This program is Get to Know Your City, Wisconsin Rapids, and we're conducting a series of 3 conversations with the men who are running for mayor of Wisconsin Rapids. This segment will be with Bob Nash. Bob has served from 1999 to 2014 as an alderman on the Wisconsin Rapids City Council. In that period of time, twice he has served as the council president for 1-year terms, and also in that time of service, he has been the chairman of each of the 3 standing committees, including Public Works, Finance, and Human Resources. And we're going to have a conversation with Bob about his campaign to become the mayor of Wisconsin Rapids. Welcome, Bob. It's good to talk with you today. Introduce yourself to our viewers today, Bob, just by telling us a little bit about yourself. Let's get to know you for a minute.
Well, I'm a lifelong resident of Wisconsin Rapids, 56 years old, married. My wife and I have been married for 31 years, Michelle. We have 3 adult children, 1 grandchild. I worked for Domtar and Coosa Mill for 37 years. I retired in just this last year, 2015. I said I served on the city council before. I was also active with my union at work, serving on the executive board for a number of years and as a trustee.
Okay, that leads us right into our second question, Bob, is just tell us about your background as a leader. Being a mayor is a leadership role, and I know that I highlighted, as you did, some of your experience in the city council, some within your work history, but just talk to us about your leadership background and skills.
Well, I did serve 15 years on Wisconsin Rapids City Council, and up until 2014, where I didn't run for re-election. 15 years is a long run.
Yes, it is. You bet it is.
There's a lot of history there that I have, and the operations of the city, I'm well aware of what's done and how things are done, and I know the employees, I know the city staff, have friendships there, have enemies too, but I think that's very valuable information that I have. Being chairman of each of the committees, you know what each committee does, and I guess that's it.
Okay, so there'll be a runoff of the 3 men on February the 16th. We'll get down to 2 for the general in April. Bob, what distinguishes you from Zach Berwink and Christopher Marceau? Tell us what distinguishes you from the other candidates in the field.
Well, I would say experience. I've worked with 4 different mayors, the current one too, and like I said, 15 years on a city council is, you can ask me questions about this building. I was there when this building was built, and a lot of other, Walmart. Probably the first big decision I got to make on the city council was I was on Public Works and made the motion to approve the developers agreement for Walmart moving out on A Street,
Yes.
So just having the experience, I guess, is a big thing, I think, is stepping in. I can step in and go, so.
Speaking of stepping in and going, you win the election in April, you step into the mayor's office. What's the most pressing issue facing the city of Wisconsin Rapids right now?
Well, I don't think there's one issue, actually. I mean, there's numerous issues. We have an aquatics situation. The riverfront, the Tribune building, and I'm trying to get up to speed here because as I have been out for, when I left in April of 14, I call it my decompression period. I did a little traveling and whatever, and now the last 6 months or so I've been doing a lot of research, watching shows on public access or meetings on public access, looking up minutes and getting minutes and trying to figure out where we are. Okay, and so to say what's the most pressing issue, obviously jobs is always the issue, but everybody and their brother has an opinion on that, how to do that. So I don't think there's no one cure for that either. You have to be business friendly, not just to our current businesses, but to anybody else that would want to come here.
Let's talk about that a little bit more. Myself, a long-time resident of the city, I think we've been talking about business development, business friendly, getting new business into the city since Consolidated sold out to Store Enso. I think it's been that 30 years that's been at the forefront of discussion in our city. So where do we take that now? How do we become business friendly?
Well, there's things that we've tried. There was the windmill wing thing, the windmill things that we were trying, energy, and I don't really know what happened to that. I know we were in meetings and everything, and everything was the go. I don't know whether it was the financial end of it or something, but it never happened. We cleared the land, we put in the utilities, some of the utilities, and there it sits now. We let somebody grow corn, we lease it out. So, it's just whatever's out there. Somebody needs to find it. Like the Chamber of Commerce, I don't hear a lot about the Chamber of Commerce for some reason. I don't know why. I'd have to step over there and ask what is going on. So.
Now, let's talk property taxes.
Sure.
Because no one ever likes to speak of raising taxes. That's something you don't talk about in the campaign or don't want to. So, are there any circumstances you can envision having to raise property taxes in the city?
Well, you're restrained by the state as far as what you can do, but over the years and past mayors have had the opportunity to raise taxes a little bit, and I'm for it. Everything gets more expensive. The labor, whatever, but you can't be afraid to raise taxes. People want their garbage picked up, they want their snow plowed, they want to flush their toilet, and everything goes away.
Police and fire service.
Police and fire. So everything costs money, and I pay a substantial amount of tax, but I live in the city and I like the services I get.
Okay.
If I wanted to pay less taxes, I would move somewhere else.
So depending on what the circumstances are, it's a possibility.
Yes, we have some issues, but with the state, with the restraint on taxes, what you can do, your hands are kind of tied, so it's just little. I can remember years back where we went to Water and Light and borrow or told them, give us some money to make our budget. So.
Okay. Now, you said that there were many important issues in the city as opposed to one being at the top of the list. There was a group. Bob, can you find anything that is kind of being overlooked, that it's an issue that's going to demand some attention by city government, but we're not giving it that attention just yet?
Well, I would think the aquatics issue was an issue 10 years ago. I was on the city council when we shut the West Side pool down, and every year it was brought up. We're going to have to do something, and we actually had a bus tour that took us around, the council members and whoever, some public figures, and took us around to different sites of the city, and there was a group that was really pushing that. Well, then we had a change in mayor, and it just kind of fell by the wayside, and we moved on, and now all of a sudden we find out that the pool may not open next year for some apparent, it just out of the blue, to me, I knew it was bad, but I thought something was being done, but the riverfront project, I'm not fully aware of what that whole, because things are done in closed session, I'm not aware of what the discussion is, what the plan is. I would hope that the city council has some sort of plan or idea what's going to happen down there, not just a dream of something to happen. The whole riverfront bank thing, whatever you want to call it. I don't have a problem with that. With the way it looks now, I don't think we need to invest more money in that, but others may think different.
Okay.
And if I could just one
Oh,
other.
yes. Oh, absolutely. Please share with us. Answer that
and
question.
with the development of Nepco Lake, the area around Nepco Lake, and I would think we would like to go that way somehow, and
On the riverfront.
no,
Oh,
no, down
okay.
8th Street
Oh.
or Sampson, to tie in
Oh.
to this land out there,
Oh.
and because you have the golf course in Rome too that's coming in, and there's going to be a need maybe for more hotel rooms on that end of town, and I understand that everybody wants to do something down by the downtown, and that's been. You've been here a long time.
Yep,
you
sure
know,
have, yep.
It looks nothing like when we grew up or whatever. But
No.
and I don't think it ever will. But whatever development is going to happen over there, there's a reason. If you get out toward Walmart out there, that there's no empty businesses. Because that's where the people are. And so do you build down here on the river and hope people come down there,
Right.
or who's gonna invest down there if nobody's down there except at night when the taverns are open? So.
Okay. Which is the better area to focus on development.
Exactly. And so I guess I'm at a little bit of different level of thinking than the current administration.
Okay. Bob, recently, a newspaper headline kind of took the breath away from a lot of us. There was an article that said that law enforcement has identified Wisconsin Rapids as a hub for heroin use and distribution in the central Wisconsin area. They quoted a law enforcement officer in that article that said, well, I'm not sure I can say it's an epidemic right now, but we're really close. That has a huge impact on any community when that kind of influence is there. What can a mayor, what can a city government do about an issue like the heroin that we're hearing about in our community?
Well, I think it's an enforcement issue, and I know that the police department now is wanted to put on a detective or add a staff member to the detective department to deal with this situation. And drugs have been a problem since 1960s, whatever it is. But anyway, and you're right. It is an issue that, you can pretty up everything you want, but then if you got somebody sitting there shooting heroin in their arm under the streetlight, that's wrong, But I was glad that the city council last meeting voted to create this position. I don't agree with the way they're funding it. I think they could have just funded it, amended the budget and funded it. I have some strong comments about that, but I'm going to hold them back for now.
Can the city do anything on the front end? And what I mean by that, Bob, is the kind of things that are causing a problem and leading people to turn to heroin and the other drugs in the first place.
Well, I think it's education in the schools and everything. You look at smoking. There's a lot less smokers now than there was, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So the education, and you need to have rehabilitation. You can't just throw everybody in jail, whatever. But no, you have to have the police out there, and you have to know that if you come to Wisconsin Rapids, don't be bringing your drugs here and having a crack house or whatever you want to call it, and we're gonna arrest you, and there we go.
The program that you are watching on River City's Community Access Media is Get to Know Your City. And we're having conversations with each of the three mayoral candidates. The primary is February 16th. The field of three will be cut back to two at that election. The two high vote getters will meet in April in the general election. This particular conversation is with Bob Nash, a longtime city alderman and former city council president. Let's move into communication and city functions now, Bob. you work with the city council, you've got a full staff of city offices and city employees, you've got the community. How do you bring all three of those together and get them working in harmony for the good of everyone?
It's communication. It's communication. You have to have friendships, you have to have relationships, whether it's with city staff or the community. I mean, there's back to why I would run for mayor. I mean, over the years I've thought about it, and people have asked me, you should run for mayor, you should run for mayor. And now I'm doing that. But no, I know employees, and I have a good relationship with the garage, and I have a good relationship with City Hall. So a lot of things that happen, they don't, the mayor, and I don't want to get into incidences that over the years have happened, but I mean, there's times that the mayor, and not this current mayor, but I mean, the mayor should have stood up and got these two people together and said, here, let's take care of this problem or issue, and that's what I would do, that this whole clerk, city clerk, elected or appointed, I think could have been dealt with in a lot better fashion than it has.
Okay. Let's talk specifically now with staying in tune with the public. We want to know what's going on in the city, and how will you specifically as mayor stay connected with me and other citizens of the community? What's the best way to stay in touch?
Well, I believe public access is one way. I mean, I would go back to having a show weekly or whatever, and I would have an open door. Come on down to City Hall and talk to the mayor, or we could have night out with Bob or whatever. I mean, I'm open to whatever, I mean, as far as the community. I've never hidden from anybody. I've taken all my phone calls, and I may not agree with you, you may not agree with me, but right. I'll listen to you, and I give you my input and what I think, and we go our separate ways, But I did that for 15 years, whether, there was some big issues, that I had to deal with, and I've never really had anybody swear at me, maybe if you wanted to, but so it's just communication, and just being open and to any conversation that anybody wants to have about anything.
Okay. What role might newer communication methods play in that? Because young people are communicating in a very different way than you and I did as young men, Bob.
Yeah, I don't have a Facebook account.
Okay.
And I probably won't have one. No, but I mean, I have a smartphone.
Sure.
So I'm not big into technology right now, but in the young people, well, it's not my fault you can't talk to each other.
You win the election in April. You become the mayor of Wisconsin Rapids. 2 years from now, we sit down, same table, have a conversation. What would you like? How would you like Wisconsin Rapids to look in 2 years? How might it be different because of your leadership in the mayor's office?
Well, one thing is I really don't know what the city council has in mind for down on the river here. Why are we spending $700,000 to buy buildings? Is there a developer there? That would be an issue I would have to deal with. I would have to do something with that property now that we own it, or the city council actually owns it. The Tribune building, that's going to be a process. How is that going to turn out? How is that going to look? I read the agreement that we have with them over this parking lot and the front of this building, and there's some kind of, in my opinion, wishy-washy kind of, how that's all going to turn out. I mean, it's a big community project, good for everybody, but I hope it works. I hope Encourage makes it work. And then, like I said, I think this development down in Rome is gonna, it doesn't help us tax-wise directly, but I think it'll help us what do you want to say, tourist-wise or whatever, you know, I mean, you don't want to, you're going to have to stay somewhere. So do you stay 15 miles up the road where the restaurants are and the shopping or the things to do, or do you stay out there? Well, I think you stay in Wisconsin Rapids. So that's a big issue. You know, they also have the other issue out in Saratoga, you know, that they're dealing with. But no, I think we need to look each direction and try to expand.
Connect regionally?
Right, expand. You know, and you know, at one point we had, I was just in Appleton last week, and we had, driving into Little Chute, and we had a thing at the PAC, gathering of mayor, and I don't know if it was the mayor of Little Chute or it wasn't Appleton, but I mean, they had the whole crowd there, and you know, how they did regionally, you know, services and everything, but whatever happened to that? You know, it never went forward. You know, I mean, it just kind of dropped by the road, you know, like a lot of things do. You know, so, I would just hope, if I can get my nails into something, I would just hope I could push it forward.
Okay. So, Bob, think of me as representing every resident of Wisconsin Rapids.
Sure.
So here's your chance to make your case for why on February 16th and then again in April, we vote for you. Why should the residents of Wisconsin Rapids support your campaign for mayor?
Experience. Like I said, I stepped back, and there was a reason for that. You know, I mean, my aldermanic term was up at the same time as the mayor's term every year, you know, 2-year terms. And so he had to make that decision. Do I run for mayor or do I run for alderperson? Well, you can run for both, but I wouldn't do that. You know, it's either one or the other. And so there was some discussion about 3-year term, you know, but then there was the push for the 4-year term, and it's like, well, that doesn't help then, you know, I mean. So I would just hope that I can get through this primary and get to the April 6th or April 5th ballot. I have, you know, I mean, you're not my only interview.
No.
Or my only chance to say whatever. But, you know, I mean, I have a lot more that I would like to put forward, but I'm not going to be able to do it right here, right now. You know, I mean, we don't have the time. But I would hope that people would trust me and watch me over my 15 years on the council and know that I'm going to say what I want to say, you know, and I'm going to hold you accountable for what you say. And if you're trying to pull my leg, you know, I'm going to call you on it. So just communication on the other hand, I'm like to communicate with people.
Wonderful. Thank you, Bob. We appreciate the conversation today. This has been Get to Know Your City. We're visiting with each of the 3 men who are running for mayor in Wisconsin Rapids. The primary election coming up just a very short time, February the 16th. The general election then is in April on the first Tuesday, the 5th. We want to invite you to check your listings and catch each of these 3 interviews so that you can be an informed voter in February and in April. For River Cities Community Access Media, I'm Milt Van Natta. Join us again soon.